attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon. This is Mark Wyrick. I'm joining us all on the How to Sell DME Online presentation. Joining us today, I have Mr. Rick Levine. He is our VP of Sales and Marketing over at Sellers Commerce. So for today's agenda, I'm going to be discussing a little bit about Sellers Commerce, who we are and what we do. I'm also going to be discussing selling DME online. From there, Rick is going to take over on how to actually sell DME online and how to promote your websites. We're going to leave the last 10 minutes of the presentation open. So to start, this gentleman's Rick Levine. He's our VP of Sales and Marketing, and the gentleman right next to him is Mr. Ashok Reddy, our President and CEO of Sellers Commerce. And that is me. I am actually the National Sales Manager for Sellers Commerce. So to start, we've been around about 11 years. We started in 2005. We've got 2 offices in Northbrook, Illinois and Hyderabad, India. We service 3 countries, the US, Canada, and India, and we've got millions of visitors annually. We service over 4 million customers. Transactionally, we service 200,000 transactions per month. We serve over 1,000 websites, and we have a customer base of 300. So what we basically do here is we help B2B retailers and distributors and manufacturers manage both simple and complicated purchasing programs. And we do this in 2 ways. We help them build and maintain online stores, and we also build and maintain microsites for our customers. How did we get here? Why are you attending the webinar today? Well, I feel it's because of the 5 questions that were asked of you during our email blast out when promoting our webinar, and those are, how do you go about setting up an online store and website? And how do you load the thousands of products that you sell onto your website effectively? How do you handle the orders for the items that you don't have in stock, and how can you promote the website to your customers and prospects in your area? How can you also improve your existing online store by design and user experience? Well, both Rick and I are going to cover all these aspects and more on this presentation today. So here's the why. Why did we put this presentation on for our DME audience today? Well, the first thing is we are experts in the online retail space. We understand DME, and we have the solutions to online retail problems that everybody in the DME audience faces. And we thought the DME audience would be appreciative of our efforts and putting on this presentation to help solve some of the questions that afflict most DME providers today. So to start, what motivations that we saw in the DME space prompted us to actually put this on, and what prompted some of you to join us today? When we thought about it, there's a few things that came up. One, with regards to the DME space, a lot of organizations are just starting out. So from a strategy perspective, the people who'd be attending probably would be interested in the strategy aspect of getting your online store started and promoting it in such a way that you could actually start gaining some traction and be successful upon your launch. Second aspect of it was you're already up and running. You're probably in the midst of dealing with a heavily competitive market. So the main question that would come up is, how do we differentiate from the competitors in our landscape? The other part of it was, a lot of you had already running a store, wanted to find ways to increase your online revenue, and we're looking for different tips and tactics that might actually help you. And finally, you probably want to optimize your web store in some way, shape, or form, and you're looking for ideas on how to actually do that, which we are going to help you understand on this presentation as well. So there are 5 aspects of selling DME that I'm going to discuss today. The first is getting started, the second is marketing, the third is data management, fourth is merchandising, and the 5th is user experience. Now, getting started is the most important part of launching an online store, and this is really where I'm going to pick it up. So with regards to getting started, there's 3 aspects to it. You got your pre-launch, your launch, and your maintenance and growth phase. So with regards to the pre-launch, this is where you're going to be thinking about how to go to market with your products and your website, and what you should be doing to go to market. The second phase is launch, and at this point you're going to be up and running. So functions and user experience are going to be the key factors on your success moving forward, and that is where a lot of you are right now. You guys are probably in the launch phase, your site's already up and running, and you probably have are wondering how we can actually start building momentum and traction for the next stage in growth and maintenance, which is the third aspect of getting started. So you have to have a plan for the growth phase of your company. So within the growth phase, what do you need to do to maintain your site traffic and keep the momentum going, and what can you do to grow? So within the pre-launch phase, as I mentioned, the key is marketing and advertising of your new site. Now, people have to discover you, they have to find you, they have to understand you, they have to anticipate you, and then they have to experience you. All that is tied to marketing. And what this is going to be tied into and characterized by is mass email blasts of new and current clients that you have, using social media to get the buzz going for your new site, maybe buying a database to assist in your blast campaigns, using your direct sales team to spread the word that you actually are launching a new website, and using marketing agencies to promote your site as well. Also, for the people that use brick and mortar, and they're primarily brick and mortar based, you're going to use the brick and mortar stores to actually help promote your website too, with regards to looking for certain products online and actually putting orders in online as well. Now in the launch phase, I'm going to characterize this as your constant contact phase. You've launched, people have come, and to use a farming phrase, now you need to seed your fields so you can start reaping down the road. What you're going to, a lot of the tactics in the pre-launch you're going to use in the launch process, you're going to be utilizing mass email blasts, you're going to your new and current clients. You're going to be using probably social media a lot more too, because at this point you've probably garnered some traction. So getting a good social media campaign together is going to be pretty important once you get started. So you can build on the momentum of your launch. Obviously, marketing agencies are going to come into play for using them, using associations to market too, especially if you're involved in some of the health-based organizations or associations out there. You can leverage them to spread the word about your store. Another important point is you're going to, now that you've got traction coming into your website, you're going to need to start offering promotions and discounts for certain buyers, or maybe all of them, to keep the heat on and people coming in. Your website, another thing is worth talking about, is it should be a tool and an asset for your direct sales team. What I mean by that is this. It should be a place for your sales team to place orders, and it should be a place for your customers to place orders. It should also be a place for your sales team to go back and collect marketing collateral for their customers. It should also be a place where your customers can go for product information, updates, and any information on your promotions. Now, on the maintenance and growth stage, at this point you've likely gotten into larger accounts, which may mean that you have bigger companies that are regulars on your website. You've got a deeper pool at this point, hopefully, and you can now start to watch and track user behaviors. If you haven't started tracking analytics in the earlier stages, this is where you're really going to get into the use of analytics. And when you get into the use of analytics, what you're going to start to do is you're going to start performing segmentation on your audience, and then you're going to want to start creating a dedicated user experience to enhance the sales process. So I'm going to go right into marketing, and there's really three main components of it, and all three of these components reflect right back to the getting started pieces that I just talked about. Obviously, marketing is going to be your key, and marketing is going to be tied into promotion. That's your marketing and your advertising. The second piece of this is going to be your visual merchandising. With the visual merchandising, you're going to be creating views and shopping experiences that are going to promote buying behaviors in your customers. Third piece of it is going to be your audience segmentation. And this is where you're going to create specific experiences for unique single buyers and group buyers. The third aspect that I'm going to talk about is data management. And it's a really touchy point for most online stores because what we're really talking about is product catalogs. And that's where your lifeblood of your company is coming from. So let's talk about the big challenges that you're going to deal with straight out of the gate. Gathering the right catalogs and data feeds. That's going to be initially your first biggest challenge. The second big challenge you're going to deal with is making sure the information and the data feeds you're getting are relevant and up to date. Third part of this is controlling the content and the views. Then the fourth piece of it is having a system to manage all those data feeds. So with the product catalogs, you're going to run into a couple other ideas that you have to address right out of the gate too. So you're either going to have to outsource or you're going to handle the data internally. There's pros and cons to both. With outsourcing, some of the bigger firms are going to be able to give you more catalog options, and some of them will be able to handle the data. Especially if you're a smaller firm, outsourcing is a good idea. Once you start to grow, handling the internal data feeds is not a bad idea either. But you need a system that can handle the data feeds coming in, and a pretty well-developed ERP system to handle those as well. So that is something that you would have to think about during the launch process, and even when you're in the growth process, evolving up to a more sophisticated platform is going to be something on the horizon for you. The fourth aspect that I'm going to talk about is merchandising. It's probably one, at least in my opinion, close to the most important piece that you have. And really there's three aspects that you have to think about. One is view creation, two is a user-centric interface, and three is a dedicated shopping experience. Now, with view creation, you need to be able to create a view that's aesthetically pleasing, and that's where your customer is going to see what's relevant to them. You need to be able to segment out your audience, so when you're using view creation, you have to think about how you're going to do that with your audience in mind. Now, how you're going to actually do that is having a user-centric interface. And what I mean by that is really content management, and a content management system that's easy to use. You or your team have to go in and actually author and edit in real time. And the more clunky a user interface is, the harder it is for you to execute on making the correct, to create product updates and creating a user experience that's friendly, so not only for you but for also your customers as well. So having a user-centric interface is very, very important for your content management system. Third piece of this is the dedicated shopping experience, and that is where you have to put thought into how you're going to create an experience for your unique groups and your unique buyers. Within user experience, this is the fifth aspect of what I'm going to talk about, is there's three components of it. You have design, function, and control. Design is all about the authorship and creation experience. Function is all about navigational fluidity and reducing click fatigue. And when I talk about click fatigue, it really is about having to do more clicks than necessary to get to your product or get to the end of the shopping cycle, which means going to the cart. And believe it or not, there's a lot of sites out there that takes a lot of clicks to get to your product and takes a lot of clicks to get to your cart. So that's a very important thing that you want to think about when you're designing your site with regards to user experience. Navigational fluidity really is all about navigating from page to page without having any slowdowns and any hiccups in the road as we're moving from product to product. Control is all about access of view and segmenting your audience. And what you're really looking for at the end of the day is a system that can cover all those aspects. So what Rick is going to talk to you about, he's going to talk about selling DME. He's also going to talk about the promotion process, content management and user experience, data management and site management, and how the right system will take care of all these things and tie them all together. So without any further ado, I'm going to let Rick take it from here.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. at our webinar. I also want to say that now we've reached more of an interactive portion of the presentation. Mark has done a fantastic job of giving us the high-level view and the things to think about at a high level. I'm going to take us into a more nuts and bolts look at an example durable medical equipment website and the ins and outs of what we might recommend for best practices. If you have questions, by the way, within the webinar there is a tool for you to pop in and type out some questions. Mark and I are looking at those as we go, and we'll either answer them as part of the course of action here, or we will come back to them at the end and say the questions out loud and discuss that way. So this is an example site that we've built, dme.sellerscommerce.com. These days, as far as web design goes, as Mark was mentioning, let's start with the concept of user experience. You want things to be clear, clean, lots of white space these days. I think we have Apple Computer to thank for the whole experience being open and friendly. Give things air, don't crowd things too much. We find that these gentle animations on a home page that showcase kind of one large thought at a time are really best practice. So we have a couple of brands teed up like Prestige Medical or Medline. And then, you know, you'll have a banner. You can have a hero shot for your physical locations. If you operate one or more actual retail locations, you can be showing that you're a real business with real customers. That's very nice to do. And then you start showing actual products. You do want to show real products as quickly as possible. You want people to know that this is a website where they can actually place orders for goods and not just a place that tells a visitor about your DME company. Then you can break down into some smaller thoughts here, call out some specific areas, like here's our specifically that we are scooter experts, or we, you know, if you want to learn more about wheelchairs in particular, you could click here, or, you know, the digital blood pressure monitors. These could also, of course, you know, be featuring sales of various kinds, calling out discounts of various kinds. So we have one particular medical dealer on our platform that really loves to do things that way. So this is A1 Scrubs. Immediately you're greeted with the idea of joining a club, which is a very nice way to get people to sign up for your mailing list. You get the idea of discounts and sales right away. Again, all of this is a personality of your company, but you do want to let people know right away this is a place to shop. If you have particular brands in your area, you can be featuring those as standing out more than others. The idea is to then end the page with some specific products. So here we're just featuring 4, and we can just get a quick view of them, or we can actually click on a product and then go into that individual product. So if I wanted to look at this particular stethoscope, I could go in. I can also zoom in on the product. Of course, you know, you are experts at these products yourself, and you spend a great deal of time educating your customers about the benefits of a Littmann versus another stethoscope. And online, while you're not there to talk to them in person, you have ways to show them what it's all about. A few of those ways are to make sure that your images have a nice zoom in feature like this. Second is your opportunity to tell a story down here in the descriptions. So in this case, this is a product coming from Prestige. Well, it's a Littmann, and so in this case we're just using the manufacturer's description. Notice how we also, though, down here at the bottom we have the opportunity to chat. So you can provide that. A big part of purchasing medical equipment is the ability to ask questions. So if I already know what I want and I am doing business with you, you make it very easy for me to come here, quickly search for this product and buy it from you. But what if I am uncertain about how I want to handle purchasing a product, or I'm thinking about a few different products, then having a chat on your site is very friendly and a really positive customer experience. I know even myself as a consumer, I use chat a lot when making decisions about purchases. If you've never used a chat mechanism, they're very easy to install on any PC or even mobile devices, so you can carry it around with you within your store. It would notify you just like you're getting a phone call, and then you can be chatting with someone right there as if you're texting back and forth. It's very simple to use, and I'm sure whoever you work with can help educate you on how all of those work. We help our customers launch those modules as well. So individual products, within your navigation area, let's talk about that. So we started by looking at the home page, and then we went to an individual page. But when it comes to your navigation area, don't just put up simple pull-down menus. In this particular example, we've got a feature of how let's call out particular areas. You want to have a content management system that will allow you to drop images in the navigation areas, drop a video in the navigation areas, and really make the experience richer. And that applies, by the way, not only to the concept of working on your desktop machine here, but many of your customers are going to be shopping on mobile devices. So I have a little gadget here attached to my web browser. So if I click iPhone, then it simulates as best as possible, although this graphic is looking a little funky in our demo there. But as you can see, it reconfigured everything so that now I've got this menu works this way, and I still get the concept then of even with all products. Look at that. I'm seeing some nice graphics of, you know, high level. So if you are patient safety and mobility experts versus EMTM experts, or you cover it all, you know, you can classify yourself and organize it based on what you know customers in your particular area and your user base are most likely looking for. So the idea is to show off what you do best at all times. Then also call out within your navigation something that sets you apart. So obviously you can do a specials area. You could be offering up things and putting them on sale. You could be calling them out based on a theme. This is going to be our knit month, or this is going to be our footwear month, or this is going to be our pressure check month. So you could be doing heavy equipment, you could do light equipment, you could do supplies, you could do just do a dental theme that month, you could just do an OR theme, you could do a nursing home theme, you could do a home care theme. Then you could also call out things based on what you recommend. So you could be doing staff picks, so we recommend, and you could be calling out sets of products, including discounts or not including discounts. You could be subcategorizing. This would be a great way to involve your staff in getting to know the website, getting to know your online shoppers, having your shoppers getting to know your team a lot more. It's highly appropriate. Now, as far as, so we were talking a bit about user experience. We were also talking a little bit about navigation. We were also talking some about promotion. We started to talk about a discounts area. We started to talk about staff recommendations. You can be setting up coupons and discounts. We're going to bounce over to the admin area in a few, and we can show you some best practice, some ideas on how to manage all of that. But one of the most important ingredients in selling durable medical equipment online is the ability to customize the experience to your key accounts. So that means if I work at Pleasant Hill Medical Center, or the Family Medical MRI Center, or the St. Mary's Hospital, and I am the purchaser that you sell to there. So if I go on your website, I am not likely there to shop retail, quote unquote. You need to provide me with the contract pricing and visibility of products based on the contracts that you've signed with me. So there's a concept within our B2B Retailer Pro product, which is what we're looking at right now, by the way, is our B2B Retailer Pro product. And other solutions out there may do this. We believe that we have an excellent way to do this. We've launched thousands and thousands of these. And you can brand it however you want. You can call it, you know, Bob's DME Groups. but whatever you call it, the concept is a store within a store experience. And this can be a huge differentiator for you as a B2B distributor. So if I click on my group, you see that I have a login area now. So if I'm already the member of a group that you've set me up with, then I can go and log in. If I need to register right then and there, maybe you've supplied St. Mary's Hospital Network with a group password, so that way I could go as an employee of St. Mary's Hospital, and when I log in, I can enter my group password, and then it lets me in as that. It lets me into that group, and I'll see just the items you want me to see. Let's take a look at an example. So if I'm Bob Smith, and I go here and I enter as B. Smith and I enter my password, it immediately drops me into a special area. Notice how I'm still on the same website, but now I am in the Pleasant Hill Assisted Living purchasing area. And it even has a nice welcome graphic. It says, welcome to the Pleasant Hill team members. And then you've got their items in here that they purchase from you. It could be 5 items. It could be 500 items. They could be organized into categories. They could be just available for bulk purchasing. They could be individual items that only Bob is allowed to order, and then Sally logs in and she sees something different. All of these are possibilities to help you manage your key accounts purchasing habits to mirror online the way that they purchase from you in the real world. So there's really 2 ways to think about buyer-centric ordering and buyer-centric experience that Mark was talking about. One is when they get to your website and they're just shopping in general. And the second is creating the store within a store experience, a dedicated experience, so that when I click here, I know that the 30 pivoting safety bed rail, and likely I'm buying the bed from you as well, but I know that this is the rail that I typically buy from you because this is the one that you've assigned to my area, and you've set it at the price that I buy from you, either on contract on a regular basis or not. So that is one example of a group buying experience. Just to toss one more in there, if I were Sally Smith instead of Bob Smith, then I go here and I log in as Sally, and when I sign in, it is dropping me now at the Family Medical Center. So the Family Medical Center has a different set of products that you've contracted with them, and maybe you set up 100 different items within here and you categorize them. For demo purposes, again, we've just got a basic view of, well, let's say these are only the 10 items that they're buying from you on a contract price. The rest of them they can just shop in your general store and purchase from you. So we call those preferred groups. That is a best practice way for you to concentrate on providing the type of purchasing experience for your key accounts that they're really demanding. You're controlling who's logging in, what they're seeing when they log in, how they're paying for it, because you can set them up as credit card, you can give them open credit on a purchase order. If you do have programs where they even want to go so far as to give employees an allowance or set up quotas where every employee can log in and they have a certain spending limit per month or per year, all of those can be set up as well. We have a more sophisticated product called the B2B Program Manager that allows you to run those types of setups. And we have very large hospital systems that are running on setups like that. So that is more about preferred groups. Now, as Mark was saying, one of the key ingredients also is content management. So we've seen some examples of a home page here. We've seen examples of preferred groups and how you can manage your key accounts. Let's look at how we might actually adjust the content of some of these. So if I'm on the front end of my website right here and I click login, now instead of logging in as those shoppers that we saw, I'm logging in as a store administrator. As soon as the system recognizes me as a store administrator, it provides now a tool up here at the top which allows me to edit everything about the content on the website. What do I mean by that? I'm on the home page right here. If I click edit, I can now go right here and I could just click edit, and now I could change out the pictures that are appearing within that animation. I could go over to my assets and select a new picture that I've previously uploaded, or I could upload something from my computer by clicking here and browsing, or I can go here and let's say I wanted to temporarily put in a big message up here wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So let's go here and drop in another container. Now I can say, well, how many columns do I want it to have? Well, I want it to have 2 columns. So now I've got a left column and a right column. And I want my left column to be a little bigger, so I could drag this around until it's something that I like. And then how do I create content in here? Well, I go over here and I grab this widget called Create Content. How simple is that? And I just drag that widget over here, and then I click, and now I can start creating content. Happy Thanksgiving. And now I could take that and I could make it bigger. Let's see here. I could style it like this. I could say, hey, make it big. And then I could go and I could add pictures in there, or I could add links, or I could, type in any types of messages I wanted. And then over on this side, I could say, well, I want a nice turkey image to go over there to go with it. So I could go and I could find a picture that goes with it. I don't know what pictures I've got handy, but let's just say it's this red scooter instead of a turkey. So I'm going to put this over here, and then I could make it a different size. And as you can see how easy it is, if I'm happy with all of these changes, then I can hit publish. And those changes will be live. If I'm not happy, I can just walk away from the website and not update it and go get a cup of coffee and think of a better idea. So that's a little bit about managing the content on the front end of the website as far as editing an actual page. What you get also then is the ability to create new pages. So I was able, let's click on over here at Staff Picks, I was able to create this page in preparation for this demo, and the same principles apply. So I'd go here to Edit, and I could go to the CMS, and I could go to Pages, and I could simply add a new page, and then I could start editing it in the exact same way. Why is that important? Because it's easy to build a website initially, let's say, but what's more challenging for you and what is best practice is to continue to build out more and more pages that tell your story and that help you with search engine optimization and that help you with marketing. So you want to be building out pages that talk about medical equipment in your area, and specifically the types of clients that you serve, and specifically the types of institutions that buy from you. And you talk about, just like we're trying to talk to you about some best practices for how to set up and manage your website, you talk about best practices for purchasing equipment in your area. And all of that content is material that the search engines will pick up and you will benefit greatly from. So for example, if I were to go back here to pages, I could go down to the We Recommend page, I could click Edit, and I could be putting in a title that makes sense. I could, we recommend equipment in Northbrook, Illinois, for example, and I could be putting in other keywords and other better description than what I've got right here. And all of that makes a big difference. I should also add some text to this page right here that talks about, again, the type of equipment I sell and where I sell it and why I recommend it. And the more real content and the more expertise of yourself that you load online, the more popular your website's going to be and the more DME type of goods you're going to sell online as well as in your actual store. That is a little bit about pages, a little bit about optimizing the page, a little bit about SEO. You can also manage those menus that I was describing from here. You go into the menu area where we just were, and this is where, like I said, you would use the same principle. So if I clicked on all products, notice how I still have this widget idea, and I could be adding in other high-level images. I could put in recommended products. I could drop a link to a video within here, all of that good stuff. When you are ready, what you want to do then is also get into managing products accurately. So what we've been looking at is the front end and the content management. Now if we start talking about data management, that happens if I click in this upper right hand corner, for example. As a provider, we offer you catalogs of products from leading suppliers in a variety of industries. So within the admin area, I can get a lot done. I can manage my orders, I can manage my shoppers, and we'll talk about some of that in a few minutes. And more specifically, though, we're on the section now about data management. Data management is a challenge for a durable medical equipment dealer because they have thousands of products, thousands of SKUs that they may stock, and they have even more that they may offer to customers as a special order, a custom order, a drop ship, etc. Within the supplier area then here at Sellers Commerce, what we do is offer the opportunity to take a data feed from a leading supplier that we've already mapped out a relationship with, and or you may come on board as a client of ours and work with us to set up a relationship. But so if we were to look at the Medline equipment, for example, then we are already connected this demo site in with Medline equipment, and it is now feeding those products in there. So every time we update the Medline equipment catalog, every time Medline provides an update of information, that data is being updated in our product cloud, and then through our brand syndication service, it is automatically updating your website. How did I add Medline to this website and make a decision about which products to sell? I went in initially to my Manage Subscriptions area, and then right here, I can see a list of all of the catalogs. I can see a list of the uniform related catalogs. Here at Sellers Commerce, we have a rich history over the last 10 years of launching 1,000 online stores related to the uniform space. If I were specifically interested in medical equipment, then I could go down and look at this Medline catalog. So if I click here on View the Catalog, it goes over here, and I am subscribed to the Medline catalog at the highest level. But maybe I don't want to stock everything from Medline. Maybe I only buy, oops, that's just Medline apparel. Let's go to Medline equipment. So if I click on Medline equipment, then I go here, and we have apparel separated because so many of our users are within the uniform space. So we offer a feed that's just the apparel up at the top. Here's Medline equipment, and I could say, well, I don't want to do everything. I only use OR and surgical supplies from them, and needles and syringes and nursing supplies. I don't, stock any of the nutritionals. I don't stock any of the food service supplies. So, you can, based on your needs, you can go in and say, well, I don't want to stock the food service, so I could turn that off. Or you could even get more specific. Go down into, food service, but I don't sell straws for whatever reason. I only sell the drinking cups. So all this is doing is saying, what products would you like assistance with in keeping up to date? So a big challenge with selling durable medical equipment online is how to keep up with all of the products. So if you can find a way to tie yourself in directly with the suppliers and getting their data fed into your online websites, that is critical to your success, because then you're leaning on the manufacturer to continually supply updated data, and you can concentrate on servicing your customers and selling and providing more and more expertise to your customers, and not spending all of your time going in and adding and removing products from your website. Once you have them set up in there, then you can go back to this page we were on here before, and then you could manage pricing. You could say, I sell Medline at MSRP plus 5% or minus 8.2%. So that's on a global level for that supplier. Or you could go in and say, well, I want to manage individual products, so you can just go and take an individual product and lock it and then take over the management of that product. So as you can see, we have some examples here. Some of these products are subscribed, some of them are locked in some way because we're adjusting either the price or we're adjusting something about that product. So soft lock means that it's a a mutually beneficial relationship. You're sharing the load to manage that product. The manufacturer is still supplying some information, and then you're taking responsibility for some information. In other cases, you might have a hard locked, meaning I don't care what Medline says, I don't care what Seller's Commerce says, I know what I want to do with this product, how I like to sell it. I'll be managing this product completely on my own. I don't need any help, thank you. You can also go in at any point and add your own custom products. So I clicked an add product right here, and I could just enter any products at will. I could sell toasters, I could sell any type of equipment, I could sell any type of textile that was appropriate to meet my customers' needs. So if you're setting up those groups that we were looking at and you have some unique products that aren't part of the data feeds, then you now have the tools to manage all of that. I mentioned about data management, and a quick review of what we just learned was that you want to, best practice is find a supplier that can assist you with loading of product information into your online stores. Hopefully they've got connections and feeds worked out with some suppliers already to get you all started. And then you want the ability on top of that to select which products you want in there. And then on top of that, you want the ability to add your own products when those first two criteria are not filling all of your needs. So that is a bit about data management within your world. Within the site management idea, you can go in and you can manage deals. You can look for a product where you can connect to some social right away. So if I wanted to be posting to Facebook or to Twitter or feeding out different types of emails, that I could configure what an order confirmation email looks like. So these would be system level, like looking, communications with your customers. And then more importantly, you can even market. You could say, well, I want to blast out to these 50 people who purchased something, last month, or you could tie it into a more sophisticated Constant Contact or a MailChimp. We always recommend those larger third-party entities to manage more sophisticated email campaigns, but built within the system here, you can be doing an initial blasts, which is a very good idea. Built-in reporting, as well as the concept of putting the store on maintenance mode if you need, as well as managing all of the shoppers that we were discussing, as well, of course, as managing orders. So all of that within a site maintenance perspective is important when you're looking for a platform to start selling durable medical equipment online. We are, of course, partial to the one that we authored, but we encourage you to think in these terms as far as what is the type of functionality that will be required for you to properly service your accounts, and then make a list of those types of things. Use that as the criteria when making a decision about how to start the process of selling online. The ability to manage your search engine optimization, manage page content. You can tie in different users within your organization might be something that's important to you. So if I wanted to add a user from within your organization and you want them to only be able to do certain things, then you could set up a new role. So right now we only had the role of administrator set up, but I could go in and I could set up the role of a marketing person and not allow them to process orders or even deal with orders. All they would have the ability is to go in and see the marketing sections and be able to manage coupons and reports. And so if I set up the role of a marketing, then I could say here I want them to only have access to this. So one of the things you also need to think about in terms of site management is who on your team will be responsible for what areas. Is that one person who kind of is a jack of all trades or a Jill of all trades and can manage all of the things we've been discussing? Or as Mark was mentioning, are you going to also get help from an outside agency, someone that's also been helping you with advertising perhaps and other marketing activities? Then you can be giving them access to areas of the site that are appropriate for managing what you want them to be doing related to your websites. So once again, the 5 top areas that we've discussed is user experience. We talked about promoting your website. We talked about how to manage the content on your website. And we talked about data management. And we talked about site management. Those were the 5 top areas that we wanted to cover. We know that it was a lot to cover in one session. We know that perhaps we only glossed over many areas that you ended up with 100 different questions based on that. The truth is that Mark and or Rick are available at any point now or in the future to answer questions directly one-on-one. If you had other questions, whether you want to use our platform or not, if you wanted to just ask our questions in general about our experience building lots of these stores, both from a selling to the general public sense and or selling to those preferred groups that we were talking about. The reality is many of the largest users of our systems over the years do not even sell to the general public. They are exclusively setting up private areas for their customers to buy from. If you come to our future webinars, we scheduled one in a few weeks where we will be talking about that very topic. Some people call them private stores, some people call them microsites, but we're going to have a webinar about how to sell using these private buying areas, and we'll go into great more detail. And then also later in September, we're going to go into greater detail about managing actual products, creating products, selling products in unique ways, ones that aren't so straightforward, where they're more complicated to set up and manage. Really appreciate everybody's time today. If there are questions, then so someone is asking about restrictions for selling DME products online. So there are certain products that may or may not have restrictions. Manufacturers will generally give you guidelines on what is appropriate and what is not appropriate when selling certain items to the general public. Certainly equipment is not a big deal, but actually here on this, this page, there may be instrumentation. There may be more sensitive instrumentation where you can get into grayer areas. But Medline and Invacare, for example, as 2 examples, they'll have more detailed guidelines. But we really haven't run into a lot of issues related to that as far as being able to post products in general online. Someone else is asking about costs involved in this. So, there are ways that you can launch websites pretty much for free online, and then there are obviously ways you can spend millions of dollars launching and managing websites. A general rule of thumb is to think about, what your annual budget is and put your web activities in with your IT and marketing budgets, and in general, companies spend anywhere from, let's say, 1 to 10% on those activities. So depending on where you're squeezing the balloon, you might spend a few $1,000s a year to get up and manage your website at this level, and that is certainly a reasonable concept. Only if you're going to be launching giant stores for tens of thousands of hospital employees and they need very fancy rules, we find that customers are spending, considerably more. Someone's asking about the Google Analytics tie-in. Yeah, we didn't actually look at that, but the concept is that you would drop a Google Analytics account into the back end, and then besides just seeing then top sales by state or top, or the average order value, logging into Google Analytics shows you exactly how many visitors you're getting, where they're coming from, and some of the things that I always look at is which are the pages that people were arriving at that ended up going on and clicking through to other pages, because most sites have a very high bounce rate. Most sites, half of the people that visit your website leave after just visiting one page. So that's fine. That's typical. That's not to be, I go to Amazon all the time myself, and I'll look at just one page and then bounce off and do something else. That doesn't mean that I don't buy from Amazon. What you want to look at, though, is also what the pattern is. So if I bounce to that page and then I click something else and then I click something else, then you start to see, well, the people that are actually spending more time on your website, you want to take a look at those. So someone about the suppliers is asking that, a great question, because we looked at some examples of, let's say, Medline, who's going to be very good at supplying data in a format that makes it friendly for us to assist you in keeping up to date and, you know, running a routine update and maybe even running nightly inventory feed checks and all of that good stuff. But there's a lot of suppliers out there who sometimes we all scratch our heads and say, it doesn't even seem like they want me to sell their products because they're so poor at getting us information. You know, they'll get you they just want to fax you something, right? And they don't even really have spreadsheets with their SKUs, and it's very difficult. So we have dealt with that a lot. What we do is work with you on, you know, what might be some ways that we can get around that. We have, on our end, we have full-time, you know, data team people who that's all they deal with all day long. We have ways of extracting data from PDFs. We have ways of scraping even the public website of, you know, a provider and grabbing data routinely off of public websites. So there is a fair amount of effort also, though, that just has to then happen by hand. What we generally find with those types of suppliers, by the way, though, is that they don't update their products nearly as often. So that's the good news. So once we assist you in getting that product ready and uploaded up and running, then we check in, or you check in, or we both check in with that supplier on a regular basis and say, okay, so twice a year we're going to contact you for an update, and then they'll feed us either via email or a spreadsheet or, you know, something that they're supplying that says, here's our current updated price list, and then we'll take that price list, we'll match it against, we'll remove what's been discontinued, we'll add what's new, we'll try to get pictures from them, and update it as best as possible. We're tracking about 1 million SKUs, might be even more at this point. Last I asked, it was about 1 million SKUs in our product cloud. So, you know, at any given time, there's data that is very accurate and current, and then of course there's going to be data at the other end of the spectrum, which is what you're asking about, which is very difficult to get in there. A lot of times also what you might think about is the suppliers that have more difficulty with their data, just take their best sellers then. Just take the stuff that's a bread and butter item for you and enter that by hand, and you know, you're a little more assured that those are SKUs that they're not going to likely be out of. The biggest challenge with selling online is when you take an order for something that you're not able to fill. So it's easy to put, you know, the 500,000 SKUs out on the website. We make that pretty easy, actually. If you work with someone like us, the tricky part then is to, you know, make sure that those SKUs are available. So when we can, we also get inventory level feeds from suppliers so that if someone is shopping online, it shows as in stock or not in stock, often based on the manufacturer's warehouse position, not necessarily based on the inventory you have at your physical store. So that's also something to consider. Other questions for me or for Mark? How often would you need to update? So that's a very good question. Not so much on data, that you want to often update as often as possible for the products and the SKUs, but on the home page, what you want to do is start to get a flavor for how often people are visiting you, how many are brand new visits versus repeat visitors. In general, we encourage people to update once or twice a month at a bare minimum of saying, go in and change something about your home page, right? Add in a banner, change out some text, change out your recommended. So if you update your staff picks once a month, then send out an email blast and say, you know, this month's picks or this month's specials, and then have some link backs to the site. You also can be running, you know, running in-store promotions that tie into online promotions. And that is a great way to build your audience, because the truth is you're educating somebody about a product by visiting them at their offices, or by selling it to them at the store, or by talking to them on the phone. And then if that product is not available and easily had on your website when it comes time for them to reorder it, and it's 9:30 at night and no one's at your store to take the call, then they may just pop over and find it on another website. So you definitely want to encourage anyone that's buying from you in your physical stores. You definitely want to encourage them and start to develop a digital relationship with them as well. It's very important moving forward, as millennials and others are all coming into buying positions at their companies and places of business. It's very important that you have a digital as well as a real world relationship with these purchasers. Great questions, everybody. Any other questions for today? So again, we are, do you have that contact slide handy, Mark, if I send the screen back to you?
Contact slide.
No? That's okay. Here, I'll just go to sellerscommerce.com. We are sellerscommerce.com, and Mark and Rick are available anytime you'd like. We can be reached this number, support@sellerscommerce.com, sales@sellerscommerce.com, rick@sellerscommerce.com, mark@sellerscommerce.com. Feel free to call or email at any point, everyone, with questions. No obligation to buy, as they say on TV, right? We just wanted to start running some webinars and talking to folks in the durable medical equipment categories, and provide some of the same expertise that we have provided over the years in the uniform space. You can also be looking at our websites and our blogs. We have a number of activities you can opt into for more information on a regular basis. So thank you all so much for your time. There's also going to be a recording of this floating around out there. We will email everyone when that is prepared and loaded online. Really appreciate everyone's time today. Have a great day.
Thanks so much.